Hey everyone, Catlin here with your help for your cool down on lesson 12. We're looking at piecewise functions. And a piecewise function, they have a different rule or output for different parts of the domain. So as the domain changes, different intervals, this one is like 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 3.5. You'll have different outputs. And sometimes it's just numbers that they expect you to have as outputs. And other times it's rules like take your input and do this with it, add 2 or multiply by 2 or something like that. And those rules can get complex. Those rules can be just, it's always this number. If it's always a number, then it's just going to stay that number on a horizontal line on your graph. If it's a rule, it might make a curve, it might make a linear graph. It just depends on what the rule is. So P in this case is postage. It's a function that gives the cost in dollars of mailing a letter from the United States to Mexico. So international postage is going to be a little pricier than what we looked like when we were doing within the United States earlier in class. This was back in 2018, shipping to Mexico. And the weight of the letter is in ounces, which we'll call W. And the function is defined with this set of rules. So interpreting this set of rules, just real quick, our function for the weight of the letter. That's our input on the x-axis. The amount we're going to pay in dollars is on the y-axis. If the letter is greater than 0, but less than or equal to 1, if it's in between that interval, it's going to cost $1.15. If it's in between 1 and 2, equal to 2, but greater than 1, $1.72. So there's an incremental increase as we go through these intervals. They get larger. How much does it cost to send a letter that weighs 1.5 ounces? So 1.5 ounces would fall in this interval right here, and that would be $1.72. So we could say something in the function notation, like if I have P of 1.5, it would spit out to me in between this interval $1.72, 172. If I have P of 2, or I have postage of a letter that weighs 2 ounces, that would fall, well, which interval? Is it this one? Because they both involve 2. This one, the third one, it says the W has to be greater than 2. This one says it has to be less or equal to 2. Well, if it's equal to 2, then we go to the $1.72 interval. So it's still going to cost $1.72 in that interval. Sketch the graph of the function on the coordinate plane. Okay, so $1.15, which is right about here in this zone. This would be $1.25. $1.15 is probably right about here. If I don't send any mail and it weighs nothing, I'm not going to have to pay anything. So that should be an open circle. And it's going to remain an open circle all the way up until a weight of 1. So that would go all the way to here, and it would be a filled in circle because it's or equal to 1. And I'm going to pay $1.15 for every price within that interval. Okay. This is an open circle, by the way. This one is filled in. All right. And then when I get to that next interval of 1 to 2, not including 1, but including 2, 2 inclusive, then I'm going to jump up to $1.72. And that's going to be right about here. So open circle. I'm not going to pay $1.72 for that 1 ounce. I'll still be at $1.15. But everything between 1 and 2 will be at that price. So filled in circle at the end of that interval. And I would pay that $1.72 price all along that interval of 1 to 2 ounces to Mexico. And then if I send a letter to Mexico that's between 2 to 3, 2 not inclusive, but 3 inclusive, then I'm going to pay $2.29. So here's $2.50. $2.29 is going to be right about here. So open circle, not inclusive on 2, but inclusive on 3. And so that one's going to jump to about that price there. And then the last interval goes from 3 to 3.5 ounces. So that would be not inclusive on 3, but inclusive on 3.5. So a smaller interval is going to bump up to 286. And that here's 275. 286 is going to be right about here. And it will go to 3.5, which is there. And so your graph should have this stair-step nature to it. Every time I go up an ounce, it's going to add some money to the postage. And the last one is only 3 to 3.5, so it's a shorter interval. But for anything that's under 3.5 ounces, this is the pricing scale that the postage that the United States Postal Service used for letters back in 2018 that were going internationally to the country of Mexico. And that's all you have for your piecewise function lesson for your cooldown. Later, guys.